Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Project Wingman reaction. Today we have Presidia. This song has been sitting in queue since August, I believe, and Spinrift has been excessively patient while I've been getting back into doing these Patreon requests a little bit more frequently, and I am so hyped to hear more of what Jose Pavli has in store for me. I really don't have more to say than that, so I guess it's time to just shut up and get to this song. So without further ado, let's go! Always pulls me right in. Every single time. I'm loving these little bass riffs. Was that throat singing I just heard in there? Probably. God, his choice of chords, though. He picks the most majestic chords. I mean, for obvious reasons. Very good reasons. Really loves those Hans Zimmer whoms in there too. Nothing like a really beefy brass section, you know? Nothing quite like it. A little bit of a modulation. Oh, there's some really neat percussive stuff in there. It's so tactile. You can really feel the percussion in the background. It's got a very organic flavor to it. God, the reverb on that sound. Got so much room in there. I always find myself smiling like an idiot listening to these songs. Oh, nice resolution into that brass. Why the tambourine? Why was that in there? I mean, it's not like it ruined anything, but like, why was that there? What a weird choice. And there goes the fade. Okay, we've entered the loop. All right. I mean, man, it feels good to be back. This song was busy in a good way. I don't want that to sound like it's a bad thing in the slightest. It is not at all. The reason I say that is because it has a lot of movement. There's constantly sections that don't feel like other sections. So I feel like there's a lot of leitmotif work maybe happening in here. And I'm not sure to what extent, obviously, but there was a lot of conflicting feelings throughout this song. There was stuff that felt a lot more intense and a lot more oppressive, stuff that felt a lot more soaring. Like the spot around 3 minutes in was just huge. It felt like I was soaring through the sky. It was so beautiful. And contrast that to like roughly around a minute, it felt so much more like I was being stared at by Big Brother. And I'm like, what's going on? You know, like having all that in one theme. I do know that Presidia is a city in this game. That's all I know about this game, frankly, other than planes. Like, that's basically all the info I'm aware of. But I feel like that's probably because it's a theme for a city. I'm not sure if this is like related to a part of the game as like a mission or something, or if it's just like the overall theme of the city. It felt a little bit too intense to be just a casual city theme, but that doesn't necessarily mean it can't be. With all those other motifs in there, I feel like it would be maybe calling back to other missions that maybe the city had something to do with. That would all track for me. But I'm obviously not positive there. I'm also not even sure if they're motifs. It's just that they're so distinct that I'm like, there's no way these can't be very specific motifs that they're pulling from and Jose is throwing in to make little callbacks or maybe even foreshadowing to future stuff. This is probably the first Project Wingman song where I can't really place the area of intent in the song itself because there's so much motion happening. I can't place this into one key solo concept of a musical piece. It moves a little too much, and I feel like, again, that's probably the point. It's probably trying to be kind of this melting pot of other themes, and that would track mostly with the sense of it having a bunch of different tones within the piece itself. But either way, Pavli knocking it out of the park as always with this. The intensity at each of these sections, even the ones that felt very soaring and uplifting, they still didn't let you forget that lower end, that more like minor turn things can take, that alternating skew of pressure and probably power that's happening during these missions. I'm just consistently impressed and even floored by the pure skill it takes to manage all of those things and juggle them all together and make it make sense in a theme. Because while I was feeling all these different feelings and getting all these different contexts musically, I never felt for a second that one of them didn't belong. Like, they all blended into each other and flowed so freely between. Even the one that felt like punches to the gut a little bit felt like they were punches with a smile. Like, no matter all the way through, and that might have just been because I was smiling like an idiot all the way through, but that effect is exactly what I'm talking about. I was smiling all the way through, and I can't help that. There's just so much to hear. There's so many layers. There's so much organic flair thrown into this all the time, everywhere. Like that tambourine I mentioned, I still don't know why that's in there. I feel like that might have been intentional, but also it could have just been Jose thinking it sounded cool and wanted to leave it in there. Because sometimes having good sound design and having cool things being thrown in isn't a thing that you need to do. It's not in there with a purpose. Sometimes it just sounds cool, and that's all you need. And that is totally chill with me. But I'm still confused why there was a tambourine in that section. It almost felt like there was a purpose for that specific instrument at those specific intervals, and I could not figure it out. Maybe like an engine kind of stuttering or something. Like it was just a little bit off, but I cannot place my finger on why it felt so significant in my ear. Maybe that's just my tism coming out. I don't know. But also all the other percussive stuff in there that I mentioned, I just referenced it, but it's just, there were so many cool things in there. A lot of hand percussion, a lot of really organic feeling in there. You could feel skin on skin in this, and that's such a cool texture to include because drums have always been something that has been tied to war, especially musically. There's always been drum lines, there's always been people bringing in just percussive instruments in some way, shape, or form to impress or oppress the opposition. So it's always been a thing, and it's cool to keep hearing that included, and you keep getting that context. So you're always like tying back to your ancestors in this musically, and that's just kind of neat to have, even if you don't actually have any sort of like a war-bound core to your family ties or anything. It still feels that way because at the end of the day, we're all human and we all kind of respond to the same core things like that. We all know what it means when you hear a drum line coming from way out in the distance over the ridge, you know, and you're like, oh God, here they come. It's no matter who you are in the world, you know that feeling. It's either there's a parade and things are going to be really fun, or you piss somebody off and they're coming back, and that's never a good sign. But either way, yet another banger from Jose Pavli on Project Wingman. I am so glad I'm getting back to these more. I'm trying to get to more of my Patreon Q stuff more recently, and I'm trying to kick those up in frequency a little bit. So I hope we're all excited to see probably a few more of these in the coming months. This and Ace Combat especially have a lot of songs in the queue, so I will be getting to them over the next couple weeks to a couple months, and I hope you're here for when those happen. But if you have anything else you want me to listen to specifically that's probably not in the queue, throw it in the comment section below and I will do my best to get to it. And of course, if you just like this video and you want to follow me and support me for more in the future, you know how to do all that, and I will see all of you in the next video. Goodbye!